EA once dreamed about annual Battlefield releases. Somewhere between reality and ambition, though, that idea died. And Battlefield 6 shows what replaced it. Not yearly games, but yearly Battlefield inside one game. Now, allegedly, 9 new modes are coming to Battlefield 6 based on data mining. And that sounds impressive, and it might even be exciting, so let's check it out. Now, before we celebrate, we need to slow down and take a clear-eyed look at what 9 new modes actually mean for a game with Battlefield's history. Because mode variety can make a Battlefield title thrive, or it can quietly drain the health out of the player base one playlist at a time. Let's talk out loud about the part nobody else is going over. Let's do it. Battlefield succeeds when it stays focused. When it gives players enough variety to stay engaged. But not so much that matchmaking fractures. It also gives players enough identity to stay grounded. But not so much novelty that the foundation slips. When that balance works, you get healthy cues, clear pacing, stable identity, and predictable performances. When it doesn't, though, you get empty modes, lobbies filled with bots, players scattered across too many playlists, retention slipping month after month after month. Battlefield has hit both ends of this spectrum, and history shows exactly what happened when the balance breaks. Let's go back to a simpler era. Bad Company 2. God damn, what a game. You had Conquest, Rush, squad deathmatches, squad rushes. That was pretty much it. 4 main modes that define the entire experience. Simple, sharp, concentrated, and well-beloved. Then came Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, the golden age. Those games worked because the foundation didn't really sprawl. You had your Conquest, you had Rush, Team Deathmatch, Obliteration, and Domination. 5 main modes. Not 12, not 16, just 5. And each one of those served a purpose. Even when Battlefield 4 added novelty modes like Carrier Assault or Chain Link, the core stayed grounded because the identity pretty much stayed intact. The same thing with Battlefield 1, when you had Operations, War Pigeons, and Shock Operations. But none of those modes ever competed with the core. They actually supported it. The series was stronger when it didn't try to be everything at once. Then we hit the Cautionary era. Battlefield 5 had too many modes. Let's see, you had Frontlines, Firestorm, Team Deathmatch. Rush was added. Domination, Combined Arms, rotating limited modes. Everything just felt temporary. Nothing felt anchored. And the community fragmented fast. And let's not forget one of the red-headed stepchildren in the series, Battlefield 2042. On paper, it technically had fewer modes, but in practice, it fractured the player base anyway. Conquest, Breakthrough, Hazard Zone, which died instantly. Portal, which is a great idea, it just had an inconsistent execution. Rotating limited modes, builder experiences. Players were always bouncing back around, back and forth, trying to find where the real game lived. DICE eventually had to delete half the playlist structure just to keep the queues sane. Now, these lessons mattered, because Battlefield 6 is starting to flirt with the same boundary lines. We're 1 month into Battlefield 6. We already have Conquest, Rush, Escalation, the casual breakthrough, red sec, portal experiences, event, and limited time modes. Now add 9 more into that mix. Some are confirmed, some are listed as prototypes, and some are listed as experimental. Those modes themselves aren't the danger, it's the distribution. Battlefield doesn't have 300,000 players online at all times. It has roughly anywhere between 25 and 45,000 depending on the hour, depending on the day. Split that population across 14 to 16 playlists, and suddenly the game starts to feel bigger than the player base that supports it. This isn't about good or bad modes. It's about structural health. Let's be practical for a moment. A mode survives long-term when it meets pretty much 3 criteria. The first one is that it reinforces Battlefield's identity. Conquest? Absolutely. Rush? Yeah. Escalation? Probably the strongest new mode in years. But the prototypes? Tank Hunt? Payload? Touchdown? Convoy? Gunmaster? Their success depends entirely on whether it fits Battlefield's pacing, not the novelty. If a mode feels like a Call of Duty experiment, it won't survive a week. Okay? Second criteria. It could support 24/7 matchmaking without bots. This is where 2042 collapsed. Modes lived and died based on time of day concurrency. Battlefield 6 does not have the population to repeat that mistake. And the third one? It doesn't compete with an existing mode. The fastest way to kill the 2 playlists is to make one redundant. If an experimental mode feels like Rush with extra steps, or Conquest with a side objective, Escalation but with a gimmick, it splits the player base for no benefit. Now, Battlefield works best when the community moves together. Now, circle back to Conquest with a side objective. That could work. It would literally depend on how they execute it. Don't take me wrong. This isn't about canceling modes. It's about prioritizing the ecosystem. Here's what the roadmap could look like for what Battlefield 6 actually needs. Lock down the big 3. These are the pillars: Conquest, Rush, Escalation. These should always have full lobbies, strong matchmaking, 0 bot dilution. Everything else is optional. Rotate experimental modes. Don't run all of them permanently. You don't put the 9 new modes live at once. You cycle them. Which I'm pretty sure that's probably how they're going to work it. Think of it like seasonal rotations. 1 to 2 experimental playlists, limited time run sets, maybe an event tied to new content. Keeps the experience fresh without splitting the baseline. Tie new modes to new maps. Mode identity improves when it's supported by map design. Think Naval Strike at Battlefield 4. The mode worked because the maps were built for it. Keep Portal experimental, not competitive with core playlists. Portal is where chaos belongs. Core playlists are where Battlefield's long-term identity lives. And lastly, define the purpose of every new mode. Players don't leave modes because they're bad. They leave because they don't understand the value. When players ask, what is Touchdown supposed to be? What is Convoy actually built around? Or why do payloads exist? That's a sign of unclear design. Define the intention and the players will show up. Make it replayable and players stay. The danger isn't that Battlefield 6 gets too much content. It's that the content pulls the community in too many different directions all at once. If Battlefield 6 gets this right, it could build the strongest Battlefield ecosystem we've seen in a decade. But it has to keep the foundation stable while expanding the house. Before you head out, please take a moment to check this month's Veteran Spotlight. Military Support Groups of America. Info is always in the description for the rest of the month. Share it, learn about it, or support it however you can. These spotlights matter a lot to me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until the next one, out.